Good morning, Falcon fans. Good morning, Hawk fans. Good morning, all ATL fans across all platforms and all streams, except TikTok. Ha 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 ha. Hopefully, it'll be back
Right.
soon. Too soon? Okay, I get it.
Man.
I have Chris Royster from around the ATL and my homie, Chris A1 from day one. And we're talking Hawks and Falcons this morning. We're going to get into the
Sir.
Hawks first. Chris Royster, welcome, man. How you doing?
Good morning, everybody. What's going on? I'm doing pretty good. I did get some sleep. I went to sleep around 3 o'clock this morning, and I miraculously woke up. So I'm happy about
Yeah.
that.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Well, you guys are better than me because I'm at the point where I got to sleep. So I
Oh
dig it.
no, I get it.
Chris,
Totally get it.
I think you went to sleep late last night as well. No?
Yeah, it must be a Chris thing, man. I know about 4 a.m. I finally passed on out.
Oh wow, 4? Wow.
Yeah, 4 a.m.
Wow. Okay. Sheesh. Okay.
4 a.m. man. Hey, I had a few things I had to iron out that I know I wasn't going to be trying to get up and do. So I said, all right, I tell you what, let me knock this on out right now. While I got the energy and the opportunity. And I went ahead and did everything I needed to do. And yeah, about 4 a.m., I went ahead and passed on out. It's like, well, don't get too comfortable because you know you got to get your butt back up for a show in the morning. So, yeah,
I hear
in a
that.
couple of hours. So, hey.
I definitely hear that, man. Well,
Yeah, man.
Our Hawks went into Boston last night and beat them again.
Again?
Again. And Chris Royster, you and I were talking this morning, and we were saying the Hawks are 15-7 in the East.
Mhm.
I mean, to me, that says we can take it with anybody. We can take it to anybody in the East.
Right.
Guys, give me your thoughts on that. Give me your thoughts on the Hawks' success in the East and why we're, I don't want to say so dominant, but why we are well, at least improved in that area and facing our opponents in the East. And let's start with you, Chris Royster. Give me your thoughts.
Well, one of the things is addition by subtraction. I've mentioned a few times on different platforms where you have different people on the roster than a year ago. And now all of a sudden, it's not easy for those shooting guards that were scoring 30 points a game on us in 2023. It ain't easy for them to do that anymore. Shooting percentages are way down. That's because of Dyson Daniels, right?
Mhm.
So you have
Right.
that element in there. Then because of the players that we have on the team that are not here anymore, and the ones that are here, you have certain players who are not playing the minutes that they were playing a year ago. And because on the defensive side, they're not giving up as many points as they used to because they're no longer here, aka Bruno, who would give up 14 points a game off the bench sometimes. It mattered, okay? And so when you have that as far as a combination of Trey and JJ doing what they do, you have Hunter having his best season of all time. You know, you have those. We got two possible All Stars, one possible Defensive Player of the Year, and one Sixth Man of the Year on the same team. Guess what? You're better than a year ago by default. Now it's just a matter
Right.
of other pieces. You have a rookie who has done okay. There's bits and pieces of him being a rookie and 19 years old, obviously, right?
Of
And
course.
then the rest of the bench, you know, and then this usage, you know, the flip flop that I want to happen at center. We'll talk about that later. But those things right there kind of go into it to where you have the best passer in the NBA, who I've been saying since 2018 wants to get 20 assists a game. And how many times has he got 20 assists a game already? He leads the league in potential assists at 21 a game.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like right there. And he's second in the league to Joker in points produced. Trey
Right.
Young's been doing this for his whole career. And now with JJ being there as that stalwart, Hunter doing what he's doing, that's what's making us better. And the matchups against those better teams in the East, guess what? We straight match up with them. And that's why we're winning.
Yeah, we match up better. Absolutely agree with Chris, man. We match up better with teams this year compared to past years. And the Dyson Daniels effect is trickled all the way down throughout the whole team. Everyone's playing better defense. Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, honestly, Trey doesn't do that before. You know what I'm saying? Like, Trey, it's plays that you've seen this year that you normally haven't seen from Trey Young. One of my favorite plays that Trey has done this year on defense is when he ran from one side of the court and sprinted to the other side of the court just to play closeout defense. You know what I'm saying? Like, my thing is, when have you seen Trey Young just do that? Just to
Well,
be
let me raise
willing
my
to do
hand
that
now.
before.
Every year he has gotten better at defense, and also
That
he's
that
not the one
that's
who's been
that's my
giving up all
point.
the points every game
I was
too.
getting there.
Just throwing that.
I was getting there. I was getting there for sure because Trey gets a bad rep on defense, you know what I'm saying? But that naturally comes with his size. Can't do nothing about your height. Can't do nothing about that. But what you can do is give effort in other places, something that he's been doing more and more. And you seen it last year was like just a blatant obvious that Trey got better on defense. And then this year you see it even more. And you see it out of guys that you never thought you would see it out of, like a Bogey. You know what I'm saying? Bogey had a game this year with 5 steals. Like, I don't think he ever had that in his career up until that point, because that's not what he does. So, it's just like a trickle effect from Dyson Daniels. Actually, DeAndre Hunter, him getting hurt at the beginning of the season may have been a blessing in disguise, because now he's having the best year of his career. So right now, and it's also helping Ricochet. I know a lot of people are up and down on Zach, but honestly, this experience right now is great for Zach. It's great that he's getting his bumps and bruises out the way right now, and once he really gets into the flow of things, it's gonna be nice. My thing is he's guarding. Look at the people who he's guarding, and people are trying to take Zachary Ricochet out about it. He's guarding former MVPs, former multiple time All-Stars. That's what you're asking Zachary to do at 19 years old. So all that experience is going to carry him a long way, because he's going to be like, okay, what a rookie season, and it's a lot of different things that's going on within the Hawks that just wasn't going on last year. The resiliency, the tenacity, the will to win, even though you're a young team, finding ways to win together, because you have those leaders like Trey Young. Like you have those guys that are stepping up into their role when they're healthy, like JJ and DeAndre. So guys, like I'm excited about this Atlanta Hawks team, because we're a completely different team than we have been, especially in the last 3 years. Just to keep it in short.
So guys, the converse of that, right? We know that we're doing well in the East, but in the West, not so great. Mr. Royster, can you talk to your thoughts on why we don't match up well with certain opponents in the West versus the East?
Well, let's put it like this. The 3 games that we lost against Denver, LA, 20 minutes, 22 minutes, and 19 minutes, 2 of 4, 4 of 8, 3 of 5, 4 points, 8 points, 6 points. We know who that is, correct?
That's Clint Capella.
That's Clint Capella. 42 points we gave up to a player who averages 24 a game in Wemby. Clint had 10 that game. That's a problem when all the teams in the West have bigs that can do stuff. Sabonis. What does Sabonis do against us all the time, right? So at a certain point, that has to be looked at just on the matchup scale. If we had someone to either slow down somebody or at least equal out the production of that other player to an extent, we win more games by default, because we have everybody else. But that one player, Trey doesn't guard Wemby, does he? He doesn't guard Anthony
hope
Davis.
not.
He doesn't guard the Joker, does he?
Right.
But someone else does. Again, the last 3 games we played against Denver, we have given up 139, 140, and 141 points in 3 straight games.
Right.
And Trey didn't play that last one I just mentioned. So at a
Yeah.
certain point, it has to come down to, we have to do something at that position, whether it be getting another person or at least switching O to be able to start games better than what we've been doing, or you go out and get a big and keep O on the bench, which he's a great bench backup center, of course. But those West Coast teams, when you go down the list, look at who their bigs are. I mean, Zubac had 18 points and 18 points against us in a basketball game.
Yes, he did.
And he's
Yes,
having a
he
good
did.
season too, right? But at a certain point, when 8 points, 6 points, 3 points, 3 points, 11 points, 10 points, 6 points, 8 points, 4 points, 8 points, 6 points. Those are his games right now with Clint Capella. That's not enough in today's NBA, especially in the Western Conference, much less the
Of
Eastern.
course.
Well,
No, absolutely. Yeah, you got to get more out your bigs, and that's another thing that we was talking about. We was talking with Glenn Willis as well. We was just discussing like different things that you just wasn't getting from your bigs. Because I mean, it wasn't just Clint, it was Onyeka Onyeka as well, not being available or coming off of injury and everything too. Also, what like I said, AD, he didn't even have a good shooting night, but he still was effective in the boards area because we were getting out. People were being physical with the Hawks. So if you looked at it, every team in the West, every game was a physical game. If you looked at it,
Right.
that's all. That's what they want to do. They want to show physicality against the Hawks because we're a team that likes to play with some pace. We get up and down the floor. Our bench is like the best bench in the NBA, if at least top three, and that's as it is now. But you just seen that, man, the physicality that teams would try to play against the Hawks, almost like trying to wear them down for the fourth quarter. And shoot, in some instances, you would see like against Denver, you seen like when Jokic was out of the game, or just certain bigs was out of the game. That's when the Hawks were starting to make their comebacks, starting to play Hawks basketball, and then you'll have Jokic come back in. The whole tempo changes because you don't have that big that can even really challenge him. Remember, Jokic, before he started really just getting consecutive MVPs, and before Clint started getting older, remember Clint actually did a decent job against Jokic. But these past 2-3 seasons, Jokic has been absolutely dominant. And it says it in the stats. It says it in the numbers behind the numbers. He just straight up and down, is a better player all the way around. The good thing is right now, and then you seen it last night and in the last 4 games, honestly, Double O has just been absolutely playing out of his mind. And Double O has just absolutely been giving you effort. He's been giving you he's giving you 3 straight double doubles now off the bench. And he's been, +7 or better since the first Phoenix game.
Yeah.
Also, the Hawks are 10-1 when Double O plays 25 plus minutes. 10-1. So I mean, what does that tell me?
It shows.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
He has to play. I was just going to say, just the physicality note that Chris mentioned, the play where Tatum was having his hissy fit, and I'm just throwing it out there. Though. Like, just say it, right? And just that right there, that element. I posted it on Twitter earlier. Is like that edge that we had in 2020 season that helped us get to the Eastern Conference Finals. We've been missing that since then, basically, because we hadn't went and got no players to help out with that.
Right.
Oh, again, as it starts, and I've listed starts over the last couple of years, and I'm look at these numbers. Like these are dominant center numbers right here, but we are going to continue to regulate him as if he's not that guy. At a certain point, you just got to turn the page and just flip it and just let O start these games out because you just mentioned it. We're 10-1 when O plays 25 minutes. Again,
plus minutes, 10-1.
Look at the totality of just everything that he could at least bring on a regular basis with Trae Young and Daniels and what Hunter is doing on a game-to-game basis. I listed, I'll do it another game, but just Clint's last 5 to 10 games compared to everybody else's, Clint is basically like the 8th best player on the Hawks right now. You see what I'm saying? Like,
I can agree with that.
That's a worrisome thing that you still have people wanting to say, I'm going to go 10 toes down because I believe Clint Capella is better than Trae Young. We need to trade Trae Young. Because even after the Boston win, you still have people saying trade Trae Young, by the way.
Yeah, and just like I said last night, and I'll say it again this morning, and you're crazy. You're crazy. What, people, are you serious? Like, why would you trade your best player on your team?
Well,
especially when he's being productive, especially with the year that he's having, and he's finally doing what so many people have been crying that they wanted him to do.
Well, let me say that. I want to cross that, Chris. I gotta say it. So
go ahead.
At the end of the day, when it comes to saying, "Oh well, we're mad because Trae don't play no defense," which is false. Okay. his lack of defense doesn't negate what he does on the other side of the ball because, again, he's producing 50 points a game minimum every game. He's passing the ball 30 times a game. Again, he's leading the NBA in potential assists. Somebody hit a couple of extra shots. Trae Young would literally be averaging 20 assists. He's averaging 12 with the roster he has. He's a career 25 and 10 player in the NBA.
Right.
He's first active in assists per game, third all time in NBA history, right? There ain't nobody else doing what Trae Young is doing. You see what I'm saying? And he still can't get to the All-Star game every year somehow. That's stupid. Whatever. You know,
absolutely
he's
wild.
30 and 10 games against players. Russell Westbrook, Harden. Well, he's tied with Russell. Harden and Brown are the only ones ahead of him, and they've played 17 plus seasons. Trae's in the middle of his seventh. And he's tied for third all time in just 30-10. He just passed Magic in 25 and 10 games in the NBA in history. So it's like, it'd be different if Trae was giving us 12 points and 4 assists a game. Right? Now you have an argument.
That's a person that you trade. That's a person that you
right?
trade.
But someone who's literally giving you 20 and 20 games and winning games in the third and fourth quarters for you regularly, like this is like happening all season and his whole career. And I always go back, the 28 games that he missed last year, why were the Hawks not giving up points? Why they should have been giving up 99 points a game, tell it by everybody else. But the Hawks were giving up 125, 136, 126. And I showed all these games. I showed the film and I showed
because it don't fall all on one player.
We were getting destroyed without Trae Young on the floor, right? So that it just makes me mad, as you can tell, that people continue to hold with that little moniker of a narrative when they can't prove it, and they say, "Well, of all the players on the court, Trae Young is the issue." When here it is, guess what? Last year we were 18 and 23. Mm-hmm. We are 22 and 19 and 6th in the East right now. We were never 6th in the East last year. We were never 7th in the East last year. We were never 8th in the East last year, but somehow it was all Trae's fault, right? I just had to get it off my chest because it's pissing me off.
No, I mean, you're right. I mean, honestly, you're right about that. And T. Will, I know you know about this too, because we talked about it. Just off of last season, coming into this season, it wasn't a lot of high expectations from a lot of Hawks fans just because of what you've seen. Just what you seen last year, games that you lost last year, you would snatch defeat from the jaws of victory a lot last year. Mm-hmm. You know, so like now this year, you do have games that you still should have won, but of course that comes with consistency. That comes with front court play. That comes with backup guard play and everything is too. So there's a lot of things factor into our losses, but you see what we can be because my goodness, fellas, we said 15 and 7 in the East. That's including 2 wins against Boston in Boston, coming off of a back-to-back against Cleveland. One in their house, one in our house. Then you also have beaten the Knicks. Like you had, in one of your games, you had your number 1 overall pick drop Patrick Ewing on them. So it's just like, bro, you have all the tools that you need. You just got to do like a few little tinkers here and there. And I think beginning of the season, I said I would like to see how Double O will be able to overtake Clint Capella, as the starting center, because he's been the backup. You're giving him more minutes, yes, but he's still the backup. Are we going to see the Double O take over for Clint Capella moving forward, at least, let's say, after the All-Star break? That's a question to you guys.
I don't think we can wait that long. I mean, the only reason he didn't start was because he was hurt at the very beginning of the season. My whole thing was he needs to start this year. Like, Clint being on the bench makes us the best bench in the NBA with whoever we have at backup point guard. Was supposed to be Kobe, but we know it ain't going to be him no more. And Bogey, Hunter, and then Clint. We would have had a veteran bench that would have been very, very productive on a game-to-game basis. So, again, not doing the flip at this point makes no sense when you keep seeing what he's doing every game. So, we had 60 points in the paint last night to Boston's 42. You see what
42.
I'm saying? Like, that's a nice little flip against the Boston Celtics of all teams. And the Boston
Right.
Celtics shot 53 threes last night, guys.
Oh,
But they
hit
didn't hit them.
15 only.
You see what I'm saying? So that was another thing too, just as far as rotations and stuff like that, which something that Clint don't like to do. He don't like coming out the paint to guard people who can hit a three. He don't think nobody in the league can hit threes because he is at 0%. So I'm just saying, paint shows
Nah,
this, y'all. So for me, it's a matter
nah,
of
Clint don't get out there like that.
there's not a. I don't believe there's a whole overtaking mechanism with O and Clint. It's just a decision that someone has made to say we're not going to start O because we just can't. You see what I'm saying? It's not that O has to prove himself. This is not a proving ground anymore. Clint can't
Right.
deliver anymore. That's just pure and simple what it is. And again, a lot of it is on the offensive side, but again, he's not a great post defender against Joel Embiid has how much against us regularly? I'm just saying, right?
Yeah.
So on the offensive side, though, again, he can't shoot free throws, 54%. He only can hit shots inside, and he's not a 60% field goal shooter, right? He has no
Right.
touch inside. He can't hit a 10-foot baseline jumper, and he can't hit a spot up three. O hit 2 threes last night again, right?
Yeah. I mean,
And
Clint is from the old NBA. I mean, up and down. Clint is from the old NBA, and
we're done with the 90s, Chris.
yeah, he's not going to be able to work in the new NBA. Honestly, it's too much of a disadvantage. You think about it. That was one of the reasons why we didn't draft Donovan Clingan, because that even though he's a big, it's still bringing him out from the paint, asking him. And remember, they start asking him to shoot threes to try to improve his draft stock. That's not something that he does, though. He's not a guy that shoots the three. And Double O is not necessarily a guy that just shoots the three, but he's a guy who can at
But
least
you
hit
gotta
one.
respect it though, because he can't
Yeah,
hit it.
got to at
I
least
don't
hit
even
one.
need someone who can hit threes. Let me say that. If we got, let's say we had Aiton really don't shoot threes, but he can hit all the other shots though, and free throws. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sabonis is
Yeah,
not
I mean,
really
of course.
a shooter, but he can shoot 42% though if he has to shoot them. I just need somebody who can keep you honest to get you out the paint. So some of our guys who can drive to the paint can get in there a little bit every now and again. I ain't asking a lot though, because it is today's NBA and everybody's making $20 million a year. You got to be able to hit a 3-pointer at a certain point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
I think I honestly feel like the same folks that say trade Trey are the same folks that are like, blow up the Falcons, trade everybody. Like they're kind of devoid of context, right? And their answer for everything is just trade everybody and blow it all up and blah, 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 blah. The same folks that probably tell you to tank every season and trust the process. So, I don't give a whole lot of stock to those who say trade, because if you say trade right now, you're clearly not watching the Hawks. And if you are, you clearly don't understand context. But
it's not that they just hate Trey Young. Actually, that's what it is. They just don't like him. They just don't like him as a person, and that's why they want to get rid of him, because they don't want to ever see the Hawks win a championship with Trey Young leading the team to a championship. They will be mad, depressed. They won't come to the parade on Peachtree Street because they can't move away from doubling down that Trey has always been the problem, even though he's doing all these things. They can't get over that, so now they're stuck. And they kind of have to keep saying it now, even though here we are being successful again, and they can't get away from it. So now they got to double down on it. So it's unfortunate for them. That's why I said let's keep the receipts, because I'd rather be on the right side of history. He's our best player since Dominique. You know what I'm saying?
I'd rather
Yeah.
win. And I mean, for you, look, it to me it sounds like we don't need them anyway, right? Because if look it, you're not gonna like every player, and I get that. You're not gonna, some people are just not for everybody. I get that, but Trey is good for the Hawks. And at the end of the day, I care about winning. Trey's not out here making mistakes in the public. He's not embarrassing the franchise. He's playing
He's not
hard.
asking for trades.
He's playing the best defense I've seen him play. And if anything, he's inspired the three triplets with Ricochet, Dyson, and JJ. You know what I mean? Like he's been a leader this year. So I don't know what you're looking at when you say Trey Young is the problem. I mean, I don't get it, but whatever. Look, we don't all have to agree. That's fine. People can think whatever they want to think. All good. You know what I mean?
And then at the end of the day, man, this guy has been the best Hawk that we've had in this franchise since Dominique Wilkins. He
Yeah.
wants to win a championship for the city, and
Mhm.
people just continue to want to push him out. Now, that's what you don't understand. But I tell you one thing, though, I do appreciate the fact that Trey is playing within the system, playing within the games. He's still going to be Trey Young because, I mean, he still has to be. We know he definitely still has that scoring ability in him as dropping 43 the other night. But just like I told T. Will, I said, I'm happy that I don't have to see my guy drop 43 every night. You remember it was a game against the Houston Rockets where we had two 40-point performances and still lost.
Don't man. I wish
So,
you hadn't said that because I was doing a good job of just continuing that whole memory. But again, that goes back to we messed up a lot with that particular squad where we
of
lost
course.
all those games having a 15-point or more lead that particular season simply because we didn't
Mhm.
nobody was playing defense at all that particular season. I mean at all. And it was at a certain point where it's like, but we could have did something in the offseason to mitigate this and we did nothing. And that's where I did a whole show. I went all the way back to the 80s and I'm like, look at all these seasons where we could have got Neek some help and we didn't. Look at these seasons where we won 60 games and got to the Eastern Conference Finals and did nothing the next season to get to the next level. Look at Trey Young in his third season in the NBA take us to the Eastern Conference Finals, and the next season we did nothing to get
We
back. We were
double,
2 games
we
away
double
from the
down.
title, and we did
We double
nothing. And
down,
so
bro. And we
it's
should have
unfortunate.
made trades. We should have made trade. We doubled down. It was one of those things where like, okay, we have pieces, but people don't understand we overachieved. It was the time to trade and make moves to improve the team because you got guys, so what's the last thing people see? High notes from Kevin Herter, Hunter, so everybody that had a high note somewhere. You could have made moves that way, but instead
If Herter had
you bump
averaged
it
more
down.
than 9 points a game in that Milwaukee series, we still beat Milwaukee. Think about
Yeah,
it.
I
You see
agree.
what I'm
I
saying? Like,
totally
and we
agree.
didn't have Hunter because he was hurt again, right? He didn't
He
play
was
after the
hurt.
Knicks series, right? So
Right,
it's like those
right.
little things right there makes a completely, different historical fact of the Atlanta Hawks. And the other thing, by the way, that people don't like or they try to say about Trey, they don't say his defense because after I showed them it ain't his defense, we're not losing because of that. Then they say his shooting percentage. I was like, well, wait a minute. They both have the same shooting percentage in the playoffs. Dominique Wilkins and Trey Young do. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Melo Ball right now is shooting like 42% and 33% from three, averaging 30 points a
Yeah,
game.
he
And
is.
his team better. And he's leading the league in votes as far as the
Right.
Eastern goal. So I don't
And
want
I
and
talk about
Maxey
that
is
too.
also shooting terrible it don't matter. I don't care about that. The results was what matters. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So
They're
let's get
winning.
over
The
yourselves.
Hornets only have 10 wins. They only have like 10 wins, but you got look. So it's not about record. So we know it's not about record. It's just you guys just don't believe in Trey. You got five, he's fifth right now, and you got four guys who I'm sorry are just not deserving to be in front of him when it comes to
If Trey
all-star vote.
wanted to not pass the ball, he would be averaging 40 points a game every game.
Right.
Literally. Like it wouldn't even be a thing. But he's passing the ball because
But
that's what he does. He wants to get
right.
20 this the game, right? But if he wanted to be
Right. That's his
LaMelo
favorite thing
Ball,
to do. That's his favorite thing to do. People don't realize that a lot of people think, and you see that when you see the national media ask him questions like, well, what do you think, what I'm saying, caters to what you're doing in the success and you're able to pass the ball and everything. And what's the first thing he said? Well, I always like to pass. That's like some of the first things, but people don't know that because you don't watch Trey.
in that Boston game, he had 5 assists. We had a lot of people missing point blank shots,
Yeah.
right? He had
Absolutely.
43. He should have had 43 and 12 in that game too, but he only had 5 assists. So it's just a matter of even when
Well,
he's scoring, balling out of control, he's still passing the ball.
it is. And
Gentlemen,
to your point, well, yeah. Go ahead,
yeah,
bro.
give me a sec. We have JC joining the show this morning. JC, good morning. How are you?
Good, fam. How you feeling?
What's going on? Good morning, y'all. I'm feeling good. Glad to be on with y'all this morning.
What's going on,
All
Oh
bro?
right.
yeah, man. And just talking some Hawks, man. But yeah, man. Yeah, just how you feeling about last night's win against Boston in Boston yet again? Anomaly, or when you do it twice, can it really even be an anomaly?
No, it's definitely not an anomaly at this point. I mean, the Hawks seem to play up to the talent that they play, but sometimes to a detriment, they also play down to talent that they play. But they definitely have Boston's number. They played New York pretty well, and then they played the Cavs pretty well. So come playoff time, that might be something those teams try to avoid the Hawks. But
Yeah, man.
definitely a big win to go on the road in overtime. Get a win like that. That's definitely a big win right there.
Man, that's actually an interesting point. JC just said it's January, and there's teams that have to think about the playoffs and whether or not they want to play the Hawks in the playoffs. Think
Mm-hmm.
about that. Again, did we ever have that feeling a year ago? No. So I
Of
think that
course not.
it shows where we have come from the depths of nothingness and the play in. Where remember, October 2nd, I put it on Twitter, and actually I mentioned on A1 show as well, Chris, the Hawks are going to finish at least 6 in the East. But I believe they could finish higher at this point now. But October 2nd, I
I
said we would finish 6, right? You remember that, right?
right. And I remember being around in that area, but now, brother, to be honest with you, I feel like as long as the Hawks continue to trend up, and I feel like you got to give Double O some starting minutes. I know that Clint is the starter and everything, but you may have to start rotating that and switching that out because Double O is right now is playing out of his mind, and right now he's playing healthy. He's playing inspired basketball on both ends of the floor, and I just feel like you just can't go away from the hot hand. That's one thing I don't like doing, and that's going away from the hot
That's a good
hand
point.
or cooling off the hot hand. So I feel like you need to ride that process. And as far as like the trade deadline and everything like that, you can still do some fishing, but you got to keep that core together. You got to keep that core together. There's no point in trying to trade Double O. You got to keep him. I understand the biggest knock on Double O is people talk about his size. We've all talked about Double O's size, but at the end of the day, you just can't lie to yourself about what your eyes are seeing. And that's what you see on the court is Double O when he's healthy and he gets minutes. The man is definitely a force on the court, both sides of the court. So again, another double double off the bench now, and that's some history in itself because guys just don't do that in consecutive games coming off the bench, getting you double digits. I'm saying getting you double double. So again, man, I like Double O. I love. Yeah, I've always liked Double O as far as like his effort. I like effort players. I do because I feel like they're able to do things and get you extra possessions, get you extra points that you probably wouldn't have gotten just on a normal basis. So hey, man, I'm a fan of Double O. I'm a fan of what he's doing.
T. Will, there was a comment there. I don't know. I think it was one right before the one that's posted up there that was talking about Trey and his height. Isaiah Thomas with the Bad Boy Pistons won back to back at basically
Mm-hmm.
the same height Trey is. You know what the difference is? The players around him. So
Right.
again, when you're talking about the ownership and the process of building a team, and I've always said there's 5 things that keeps you winning. You have an owner that wants to win a championship and does what's necessary. You have general manager who makes wise decisions over a period of time. You have to have a good to great coach, good to great players, and you have to be healthy. Now we
Yep.
know health has been a messed up thing for the Hawks the last decade or so, right? But when
Of course.
you put the best pieces or the right pieces, sometimes you're not going to have the best pieces, but you can have the right pieces around your best
There you
player.
go.
You will win more. Again, Craig Hodges, Steve Kerr, John Paxson, one on
Mm-hmm.
one, not that great, but on the right team, all their job is to hit threes. That's something they can do. John Sally, Bill
Championship.
Lambier, all these different players on the Bad Boy Pistons. Bill Lambier, he can hit a three, but he does all those other dirty things that makes you win. Yeah, So again, when you put the right players around the best player, you win. And the Hawks, for whatever reason, are just allergic to doing that. They have been. They've shown that. Right over decades plus. Again, St. Louis Hawks was the last time the Hawks franchise has a ring. How many
Right.
Eastern Conference Finals have we been to? 2. How many
2.
finals appearances have we been to? And in the same 6 years that Trey has been playing, Boston has been to 2 finals. The Miami Heat have been to 2 finals. The Raptors have been to a finals. The Bucks have been to the finals, and the Cavs have been to the finals. We got to start doing that at a certain point. Otherwise, why? Like, let's sell the team to
What are we doing?
right? So I just had to bring that up for the comment.
Oh yeah, now I'm reading this comment as far as like okay, yeah, the 6-1 thing is not a problem. Yeah. I mean, as far as like Trey is not the problem. Trey is part of the solution. The Hawks are building their foundation right now. If you see that they've surrounded a lot of different wings, they got better at the wing. It's not all on DeAndre Hunter, who was our best wing defender 4 years by himself, and he doesn't have to do it by himself. He has guys who are 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" type of players in size around Trey Young. And guess what? Once these guys start knocking down shots even more, like it's going to be even more deadly because, like Chris said earlier, you have Trey who is generating 21 assists. Potential assists. Per game. If we knock down shots, he is averaging about 20 per game. 20 assists per game. And guess what? In this season, Trey has already had 3 20-20 games. And guess what? All 3 of them are what? W's. We won every last one, even down to the Kings game. Even though it was a scare at the end, we still won that game too from half court. So I'm just saying, like,
I'm sorry.
You said what, T. Will? No, go ahead, T. Will. No.
I think Trey realizes that unless he has to, he's not gonna go hard in that way. And Michael Jordan realized this about the 9th year in his career, because Michael would come out and score 50, 60 like it was nothing. And one day I think somebody got in his ear and said, "Hey, Mike, you can score 60 and continue to lose, or you can score 35 to 40, involve the other guys, get them going and win." And when that happened, the Bulls started winning championships. Now, I'm not saying that that's all Trey has to do and it's that simplistic. But what I am saying is I think it is mature of Trey to recognize that. And it's a shame that people even think that, because in my mind's eye, we're watching Trey Young mature into a young man. Like, he doesn't care about the individual stats. He really cares about winning. And not to say that he didn't care before, but he's all in with Quinn, right? His defense. Look, he's not a great defender, but his defense is 100% better than it was 3 years ago. And anybody who wants to challenge that, I dare you to watch the games. You know what I mean? Trey is getting steals. Trey is trying to back people down. Trey is helping out where he needs to help. I don't understand anybody who wants to and again, I understand. Look, we all have our opinion. But if you want to trade Trey Young, you've not watched this team and you don't understand context. And I'll leave it there.
Well, T-Will, I want to interject this real quick. I don't want to say that it's Trey realizing that what you just said. I just think it's a matter of who the players are on the team.
That's true.
Because over a period of time,
that's a good point. That's a good point.
Especially over the last couple of years, he had to score, especially in the playoff series. He had to drop 30 and 10.
True. That's
you know
true.
what I'm saying?
Good point.
Now this year, guess what? He hadn't had to do as much, which is why he's passing the ball almost 30 times a game. But the trick is to that too, and I've actually done some shows to show it. There are games where we've left between 25 and 40 points on the floor from missed shots from passes from Trey. And those are those games where he should have had 20 plus assists in the game, and he only ends up with 12, or 14 or whatever. But he could have had more because we're missing wide open threes, we're missing dunks, we're missing layups and things of that nature. So in those cases, guess what? Trey says, okay, I got to pick it up a little bit. Because if anybody's noticed, Trey Young has only shot 20 plus times, like 3 times in the last month and a half. Okay, so when you just look at it just from that perspective, he's shooting less, because he is passing it more because we got more people who are. Dyson Daniels has some really good games a lot of times right now. Sometimes he just shoot us out a little, right? But we have
good last night.
we have enough from the starting lineup and the bench, especially with Hunter coming off the bench and doing what he's doing, averaging 20. He's averaging 14 for his career. He's averaging 20 plus now. So that transition is there because of the player personnel again, addition from and subtraction. So I don't think it's so much a matter of he definitely not wanting to win more than he was before. It's just a matter of the player personnel has changed, and he can see that where he can. If Trae Young could average 20 assists a game and only average 12 points a game, he would do that. You see what I'm saying? Because again, like I said in Summer League 2018, if he had players on that Summer League team, he'd have 25 assists a game in Summer League because that's how much he was passing the ball. People just wasn't hitting those shots. You see what I'm saying? And we saw that translate over the years where he's averaging 28 and 9.7 assists a game. 28, 26, 28, 29 points a game and stuff like that. He's averaging 22, 23 this year. You know what I'm saying? And he's leading the league by far. And he's about to lead the league 3 out of the last 4 years in total assists. You see what I'm saying? That's not a fluke. It's because he's passing the ball. You see what I'm saying? So it's like if we could just get a couple more people though to hit some shots, again, whether it be the center position or maybe that backup point guard position, we solidify that. Somebody mentioned Plowden. He came from College Park and just started hitting shots, right? Do we add him to the roster even though he's a part-time player or whatever? So I just think when you continue to put pieces around folks like the Boston Celtics said, you know what, Marcus Smart, you're a good guy, you're a good player, you're a Boston Celtic for life, but you know what? Unfortunately, we gotta go get Drew Holiday and Porzingis to go win us a championship. You see what I'm saying? Like at a certain point, you got to make that move. Sometimes you don't like it, but you got to get the best that you can get out of a team.
So who's that player then? And I'll open it up to the panel. Who's that player that we can trade for, and who would we include in that trade to get us over the hump, right? And I'll throw it out to the panel. Don't everybody all go at once.
I was letting somebody else go.
I feel like the Hawks are missing kind of at the center position, in my opinion. Like Clint Capella, he's a decent veteran at this point, but he's not really offering you championship level or playoff level like center play. So I mean, I'm not really sure who that center is that they can bring in. I mean, maybe a Walker Kessler or somebody of that nature. I don't know. I felt like Towns would have been a nice fit on this team. I didn't know Minnesota was into shipping him off. I felt like a big that could stretch the floor would be nice with this core. But yeah, I mean, Clint Capella probably would be first. I would trade off the team, and then probably somebody else off the bench. But I really don't want to get rid of too many people off the bench because you got a pretty decent team, or at least deep. And in the playoffs, you definitely need that. But yeah, I see somebody say Bogey. Yeah, Bogey probably be the first to go because he's valuable to other teams because of the shooting aspect. But yeah, I think maybe Bogey and Clint.
Well, JC, I'll say this, JC, that in regards to just being able to not lose too much off the bench, having a center will offset the bench a little bit too. So for instance, if we had Vucevic, who's averaging 21 and 10, shooting 50+% from the floor and 45% from three, all of a sudden on your team, that would offset whatever you end up losing off the bench. So if you were to trade Bogey and Clinton or Vent and or Garrison or whoever, you would offset what you. And remember, Bogey is not having the best season of all time either. Like Bogey has not looked, since the Olympics. I mean, I don't want to say it was the Olympics, but Bogey don't look like 2023 Bogey at all. Okay, he has not been.
I mean, he's playing through some injuries too. He hasn't been available because he's injured, and also a few times this season too. So a lot of people are saying they believe in Bogey being able to pass. Bogey has been able to go through things like this, and then be able to get himself together. Because shooter's going to shoot, right? But Bogey is also 32. I believe, little by little his role is diminishing because you do have guys like Garrison, even though he's not is good with the ball, like Bogey is, like putting it on the floor at least. He can still shoot. And that's
Yeah.
what that's been Bogey's calling card his whole career, that he can shoot. And I'm sorry, I mean, you got guys like Garrison who's out there trying to get it, and he'll drop some points and then you got Veet, who actually has been playing better on the offensive end. I feel like he's not so passive finally. Because I'd be cussing Veet out about that. He'd be right there at the rim and then he'll throw it back out there to the
Ben
3-point
Simmons, man. It'd be
Veet, but I'm happy about Veet, man. Actually, like again, like the last 5 games, Veet, I believe he's gotten into double figures, and we've needed those points. So yeah, I would do that. Clint Capella, if I'm trading Clint Capella, like Chris was saying, I got to get something back, something like a Vucevic, like, you know, so for Capella and Bogey. Okay, I'll do a trade like that because I feel like we still get better there. Because now you got now you got Nicola, and then you still have waiting in the wings to come back would be Larry Nance. You know, somebody else who also stretches the floor, somebody else who also can shoot the 3, give you rebounds, et cetera, et cetera. So like, it would be Clinton Bogey for me. Those are my primetime players. But it's a rumor going around right now. I don't know if you guys have seen it, about a trade between the Hawks and the Jazz. And I don't know if you guys would be interested into that one, but it would be Kobe Buffkin, Larry Nance Jr., 2 draft picks, and you're getting back Colin Sexton in return. Now my thing is, for a backup point guard, I feel like you're asking a lot because I feel like you need more, as in the Hawks should be getting back more than just Colin Sexton. Because I'm listening to all they're giving up. They're giving up a first-round pick and Kobe Buffkin. Regardless of how you feel about him, he still was drafted in the first round. Then you was talking about giving up 2 second-rounders and giving up Larry Nance, who can stretch the floor. Even though he's injured right now, he's not helping you at all right now. But we know what Larry Nance can do. I just feel like if your Hawks are going to give up all that, I feel like the Hawks got to get more than just Colin Sexton back. Otherwise, you definitely
Clinton, let's get John back. Let John play center. He's giving you 18 and 8. He had one bad season because we forced him into a 3-point shooter with that stupid finger of his. But now he's back to where he was, and he's the only Hawk drafted Atlanta Hawk other than Trae Young to have 19 points in the season and 21 points in the season. And he's shooting 40+% from 3 as well. And he is a great help defender, and he's one of the best finishers in the NBA. All of a sudden, he could be playing with JJ and Trae on the floor. I say let's do that at the very least. Guess what?
Mm-hmm.
We know John can hit a 3 too, straight up at the top of the key, and he can hit free throws. So I say if we were to do something like that, it would solve the backup point guard position, yes. But like you said, I wouldn't want to just get Colin back because I don't know at this point which is more important in the backup point guard position. I think we can float that with what we got, but the center position is more of a need. That's more of a need. So if we were to do that, or
that's been the black eye all season.
Yeah,
with the center position.
So if we were to do something like that, I would say throw Clinton there. Maybe look, and with I don't think you have to do that much more to get John. Maybe throw in one of the guys from College Park too. I mean, if you really wanted to go that route, if they really wanted, it was Danny Ainge involved, so it's that part of it. He always or Plowden or somebody, do what you gotta do. But I say if we were to do that with the Jazz, I would say make it 2 players instead of just one.
I agree, because just one player is just not going to be enough. Not going to be enough at all,
and
man.
The picks, that's I think
that's what I'm saying, bro. We got to give up 2 picks.
Yeah,
like maybe if it was just like, for example, maybe just Larry Nance and Buffkin for Colin Sexton. So you do that trade all day.
I would do that. I would do that.
You know what I'm saying? But my thing is to throw in draft picks as well. But I feel like the draft picks is the Danny Ainge type thing. I'm gonna get as much as I can get for you. I'm gonna pull as much as I can pull from you. To try to make this trade happen and to get this best that I can. We all know Danny Ainge is a tough customer when it comes to just getting trades. That's why, like, a lot of teams, like, they'll work with him, but you don't really want to work with him. So it's just like, man. Yeah, but I know soon, guys. I know. Shout out to everybody who is coming out, checking out the show, man. Thank y'all so much for checking us out. giving us some likes, to help us get out there in the algorithm, giving us some comments as well. Again, I know we've been talking Hawks for almost an hour. I know and soon here we're going to be transitioning to the Falcons because the Falcons made some questionable calls, and I know we're going to get to it. Well, I know the people in the chat definitely want to talk about Falcons football as well, and we're definitely about to get to that. Not sure exactly what T. Will got going on in the background, but sir, we're going to need you back up here so we can get this thing continually going. In the background, fixing him a sandwich. T. Will in the back fixing him a sandwich and some coffee. Don't think nobody don't know. But yeah, man. I'm gonna ask you about this, like closing seconds of that game last night, though. In the paint, when JJ missed the first free throw, what were going through you guys' heads when, because of course he missed both of them, but what were you guys going through you guys' heads like when JJ missed the first free throw in overtime? JC, go ahead, man.
I ain't gonna lie, I ain't even watch the game. I was watching NFL tonight, so I didn't watch no NBA.
Nah, hey, it was a lot of sports on last night. I can't even UFC for those who like that.
So then with the the NBA scored, I said, damn, the Hawks beat the Celtics again. I said they pretty much own them, and I saw it went to overtime. I haven't even got to catch the highlights on YouTube, so I probably watch those. I definitely want to see what went on.
Oh yeah, man! Shooting the highlights, it really ain't even gonna do you justice, brother. But you gotta get it in how you gotta get it in. Chris, what about you, man? I know you was probably watching, man. What was your thoughts at that particular moment?
Well, it was gonna come down to, again, situational awareness, and being able to say, okay, if he does miss this next one, what do we have to do to still win this game anyway? Everything that happened up until that point, do we have enough to say we're going to beat Boston and Boston still, despite that? And that's what ended up happening. And again, it's just a matter of the crunch time part of it. The Hawks are much better this year than we were ever last year. It's a complete change. Again, a lot of it is confidence. Again, a lot of it is who's on the floor at a certain period of time as well. Because remember, and again, this is JJ's first game back in a while. He did not have a good shooting night. Like, nobody had good shooting nights last night. Like, the Boston Celtics didn't have good shooting nights either. So it kind of evened out a little bit, right? But it was just a matter of, you see Trey hitting these shots and keeping us in games and getting us the lead, and then we lose, we tied and all this kind of stuff, and then free throws come into play and stuff like that. I'm like, we can still win this game. There is no point where I felt like we were not going to win the game. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and that's right. In my head, that's how I was. I'm like, well, if all the other whatever happened, mistakes or whatever, missed shots, fouls, turnovers, whatever. Dyson had a couple turnovers, right? Trey has turnovers every night. We all know that, but he's passing the ball a lot. That's part of it.
Look at his usage.
Magic Johnson averaged 4 turnovers a game for his career. I don't care about that. But it's a matter of, when given the situation again, can we get the lead and then hold it? We can do it. And that's what ended up happening.
Right, man. This team right here is something that you like you would see last year. Again, we would snatch the losses from the jaws of victory. And this year is completely different, man. There is no game. If the Hawks are close, there is no game this year that I don't feel like we can win. Yep. If it's close, we got a puncher's chance, and that's all I need. Yep. Because most times we do be able to find that magical punch that just gets through the defense and knocks the other team out. We've been able to figure it out, and it's been happening more often than not. Yeah, I know. The thing about it is, you almost wish that the Hawks season actually kind of like started from when we actually got healthy. Remember around the Kings game when we actually really had got healthy and we started going on those winning streaks and we start beating the better teams, the higher names, the higher ups, as you would say. It's almost like you wish it kind of started right there, because that was when the Hawks started kind of like really putting it together. They had some ugly losses to start the season. Of course, giving 2 games to Washington, giving a game to the Kings they shouldn't have had. OKC, you were battling with them, but then they got obliterated in the fourth quarter. So it was a couple losses that you got there that you shouldn't have got. I think when we lost to the Pistons too. I think maybe the Hornets. No, I think we got the Hornets. I think it was the
Also, the
Pistons.
Pistons by 1 point, and in that game when
Yeah,
Clint went 3 for 10, went 1 for 4 from the free throw line. If he had just hit one more shot, we win the game. I mean, I'm just saying.
see, that's those little things matter. They do. That's what I'm saying, bro. Those little things matter. And I mean, moving forward, man, you see what's going on. We're on a 3-game win streak right now, and we're getting production from the big man. Not saying last against Boston we didn't get much against Clint or get much from Clint, but Clint has given us some double doubles recently in the past couple of games, but it's just not consistent enough. And Double O right now, he's looking like he's ready to be fully healthy and take the reins, man. And if he is, I say you got to make that move. Those are the difficult moves you have to make. Those are the difficult decisions you have to make. And I just want to win. That's all I want. It's not about liking Clint or disliking Clint. Clint has been serviceable for the Atlanta Hawks since we brought him here, if nothing else.
I don't hate Clint.
It's run its course. It's run its course, though. It's time to let the young buck, finally a top 10 pick and Yeko Okongwu and see what he got. You know what I'm saying? 6 overall pick. So it just see what he got, fellas. You got to see what he got. Whenever T. Will, I know you was back there getting your coffee and your croissant and everything. So whenever you ready, man, I know we ready for Falcons talk too, man.
Let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. So this is the elephant in the room, the stuff that everybody is griping about and most of us are upset about. It could be some folks that are happy this morning, but the Falcons hire defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich, much to the chagrin of, just about everyone I know. And hey, man, let's just go around the room. Look, I would have been okay with Wink or Steve Wilks, either or, because I feel like they've established themselves independently as quality defense coordinators. My issue with Ulbrich is he did have a great year last year, had a great year as a defense coordinator. But, of course, that was with Robert Saleh in the building, right? When Robert Saleh left the Jets and it was just solely Jeff Ulbrich, the Jets statistically were the worst team in the league.
They plummeted. They put up from week 14 to week 17, they had some of their worst grades, like as a defense, like the whole entire season that stretch. Now, the week 18 did make it a little bit better, beating the Dolphins. But ultimately, at the end of the day, they still was ranked 20th overall for total defense. And the Jets was just a complete dumpster fire overall as a team and everything. And my thing is, I don't want to bring none of that trash from New York, but you did it anyway. You're trying to use this familiarity, this buddy system, all this stuff like that, and it's just like, come on, guys. He was here and for 5 years, 15 to 20. And my thing is, you didn't hire him back then. So what makes you just think, just because it's familiarity, what makes you think going back to the ex that she not going to cheat on you again? Like, I hate to use that analogy, but we did go backwards, trying to find our way back. Way back? Come on, man. It's just like we had so many different options out there, and it almost makes you feel like the Falcons are just playing in Falcon fans' face, including all the way up to the ownership.
Well, to be honest and to be fair, with that Jets team, when Saleh left, they could have just been like, you know what, it's on the next year. Like, they could have checked out. But I think what it shows is, to a certain extent, I don't think they respected Jeff Ulbrich because they felt like he was a lame duck coach, right? But you have to consider the variables as far as, I don't know that it was just X's and O's, because it was the same personnel. He'd worked under Saleh for at least a year, if not 2. So, I got to think that the calls didn't change. I gotta think that it was just, a part of it was just, look, if this guy isn't gonna be here, we've checked out. You had Aaron Rodgers there, who gets coaches fired on the regular, and I'm really not an Aaron Rodgers fan. I'm not gonna make it about him, but there were a lot of negative factors in that. I will say that, but I'll open it up to the panel. JC, what are your thoughts on Jeff Ulbrich being hired as a defense coordinator for the Falcons?
I really don't think too deeply on whatever the Falcons do at this point because I'm already checked out on Raheem, in my opinion. So the way I look at it is either Ulbrich can come in here and get the defense right, and they'll be successful, or if not, Raheem and everybody will be gone next year anyway. So it really won't matter. But I already knew they were gonna hire Ulbrich. So it really didn't surprise me. I really didn't get down on it. I didn't even get highly on the other candidates. I knew they were going to do this. Once I saw the connection, I already knew it was going to be him. I wish they would.
I'm glad that you said that, JC, because T. Will, we talked about this off the air, and I was saying the same thing that JC is saying. Like, it's like when you seen Jeff Ulbrich's name, it even being interviewed, it was just like, you start just side-eyeing the Falcons. I know I did. And I know in our chat, too, I know we was talking about, man, we can't go back to the X. And the reason why we talking about it is because subconsciously, we already know Falcons are about to Falcon again. Yep. And they about to hire familiarity or whatever collective word that they want to use for us. They're about to do it again. And it's just us as Falcon fans trying to have that hope and just saying, well, we didn't think they were going to fire Jimmy Lake, and they did that. So maybe they will just possibly do the right thing and just get a fresh face in there, fresh mind in there, with these guys. But instead, they said, we gave you something that you wanted. Now we got to go back to doing what we want to do.
And that's the one thing about it. Because I already knew they really had found a coach once they started interviewing, the Steelers pass game coordinator, like the two black guys that nobody knew. I'm like, okay, they getting their Rooney Rule out the way. They already knew who they wanted to bring in.
That as well.
I'm really more so on the players that they bring in on defense. Like, I really don't. I don't think any defensive coordinator that we bring in is going to be able to do anything what we got right now. So we definitely gonna have to bring in, some better talent, and hopefully the talent can, outweigh. Because I don't think it can get worse than Jimmy Lake's scheme. So, I'll give him a fair chance to do, next season, show what he can do. But I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Like I said, I think it's a 1-year type of deal if Atlanta doesn't do what they need to do in the regular season, hopefully the playoffs. So, yep, it is what it is.
Chris Royster, give us your thoughts.
Well, I'm gonna just do it like this. It wasn't Jimmy Lake's scheme. It was Raheem's. Okay.
Was it though?
Yeah, because and you don't and him saying that all of a sudden he's more involved in the defense and all this kind of jibber jabber near the end of the season and stuff like that, and all of a sudden we are getting sacks and stuff like that. It's a matter of push comes to shove. The Atlanta Falcons since 1966 have never hired a coach with a winning record. It's never happened before. Okay. 1966, the whole franchise history. Think about that right there. And then you have an opportunity. Okay, well, Raheem, they hired him. Okay, fine. But then he brings in two coordinators who've never coordinated before. Okay. Don't bring in anybody who's actually built and established something on their own and has proven success. No, we're going to just go ahead and just do it like this. Okay, fine. Now you fired one of those coordinators, right? And now you have a chance to go and get someone who has an establishment again. And then you go back to, as the analogy that Chris has given us, the X.
You went back to
you look at the fact that Rich McKay is still somewhere in the background, right?
Right.
And we're talking now that Arthur Blank is now 82 years old. And we do not have but one appearance in the Super Bowl. Okay. We have a couple of championship game appearances, right? But we only have the one appearance in the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, fortunately, Washington beat the Lions, so they wouldn't win a Super Bowl before the Falcons. But think about all the teams now that have won Super Bowls before the Atlanta Falcons, and here it is, a year after we were supposed to fix all the crap that happened the year before in 2023, and we literally had a 10-win season staring us in the face, we have a 1-game improvement. You know what I'm
One
saying?
game.
1-game improvement. You know what I'm saying? And then at the end of the season, we get beat by Bryce, who looks like we made him look like Joe Montana out there. Like, we couldn't adjust at all.
Oh,
He couldn't
oh,
find
I
out
ain't gonna lie. He got
one
that starting job
Penix
now.
kept throwing wait, that's the left hand. Penix kept throwing the ball and doing everything he could to win, and we couldn't do any
We
adjustments to
couldn't
say
stop
we
him.
need one doggone stop. You see what I'm saying? And what is Raheem doing? So I'm like, he's the head coach, isn't he? He's supposed to be the defensive guy, right? So again, it's a matter of and my co-host on around the ATL, Jordan Jackson, is talking about look at the Kansas City Chiefs and them having a designated person who's calling that offense for one quarterback all of these years. They have 7 straight appearances in the AFC Championship game. They're on their pace to try to win 3 straight Super Bowls because they actually built the team around their best player. They have an offensive line, they got a defensive line, and they put in the skilled players around them. The Falcons for 20 plus years refused to do that. And here we are again. And to hire, Jeff is like T. Will said, it's a slap in the face at a certain point. Well, no, it's JC. It's a slap in the face, and it's like, what are we supposed to do? Like, we're still supposed to get season tickets?
We're still supposed to get hype about Jeff Ulbrich. That's what you want me to get excited about? Somebody
that's
that
what
I
I'm
already
saying.
seen before?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna drive 2 hours from where I live to come all the way up to a 3-hour game where at the end of the day it's gonna come down to that aspect. And I'm like, I don't believe my team can win because of, this is the history now. And again, this is messed up to do this to Penix and Bajan and London and the rest of the guys on the offensive side because my goodness, we kept scoring points, but we can't stop nobody still.
Can't stop nobody.
Matt Ryan went through that his whole career, didn't he?
Just about to say, them good old Matty Ice days.
It ain't cool
Having
anymore.
all offense, but can't stop a soul, can't stop a cold, can't stop a running nose.
It's really upsetting at this point. And again, more fans are going to be mad than the ones who, I guess, quote unquote, happy and excited. I don't know who those people are. I haven't seen it yet, but I guess there might be a few. But it's just the principle of it all. We needed some defined actions, especially with, we're going to have Kirk Cousins as our backup at $100 million too.
It just the beat goes on and the hits just keep on coming. And like seriously, and I'm sorry, but that's just how I feel. Like, of course, I'm always going to support my Falcons. That's never going to change. But I just feel like you're playing in Falcon fans' face right here. Every Falcon fan really, I guess, I feel like subconsciously knew that we were going to see Jeff Ulbrich in a Falcons gear yet again. And it's just like, why are you going through these cycles over and over again? Why is the ownership, the general manager, everybody going through these cycles again? And it's a possibility because there are certain people pulling the strings behind the scenes that we don't know. AKA maybe a Rich McKay still pulling strings. Yeah, they said they moved him over to Atlanta United, but he's still in the building where the Falcons play. So I mean, regardless, he's still in the building. It's not like he went over. It's not like he went up to Cobb and doing things with the Braves now.
Yeah,
he's still in the building.
Like that, Chris. I mean, that's hearsay, right? I mean, I hear you.
It is. It's hearsay.
That's you know what I mean. We can't, that. Well,
but we also can't go away from it too. That's my point. It's one of those things where you can't prove it.
Move if you ever saw one. So I'm just saying.
But to T. Will's point, it's one of those things to where you can't prove it, but you can't prove that it's not true either.
Right. You can't prove a negative. Right.
Yeah.
So I get it. So the way I look at it, this offense looked great under Penix. Right. And I don't even think he, from a quarterback completion percentage, was great. But when it mattered, he got it there. The throws that he makes. That throw that he hit, who was it? Number 12, A1. Help me out.
Talking about for this year?
Kadero Hodge. That throw in the first half where he hits Kadero Hodge, I don't know another quarterback that can make that throw because it went through 3 hands. 3 people had the opportunity to catch it, but there was so much velocity on it. Matter of fact, if you look at Kadero catches it, he catches it and turns around. Right. It's almost like the ball spun him around. I'm not saying that's the case, but he definitely had velocity. There's a play 3rd and 20 where Penix hits Drake on an in cut or post, and none of the Panthers even saw it. I mean, you know what I mean? So he's got zip on the ball. He's got a great arm. He also has touch. He's got a lot of poise. You don't necessarily need a top 15 defense. It would be nice. I would say a top 15, top 20 defense, you can still make some noise because this offense has an assortment of weapons. I'm trying to see the positive in this, right?
Right.
So this offense has an assortment of weapons. You have Mooney, you have Draco, you have Bijan, you've got Algier, you've got Kyle Pitts, probably if they don't trade him. So if you're scoring 30, 35 points a game, really you only need 1 or 2 stops. And what I will say is that last year, Ulbricht did command a great defense, albeit with Robert Saleh. But we can't speculate and say, well, it was just Ulbricht's fault that the Jets were just terrible, because that team was a dumpster fire the minute Aaron Rodgers got there. Number one, there are things you can do when you're young and sexy. I'm making an analogy, right? There are things you can do when you can sling that ball and throw it 100 yards and make every throw. People will tolerate. People will tolerate a little aloof disregard. I don't want to say disrespect, but they will tolerate an ego like that. But you get older and you can no longer make those throws and you're just sour grapes. And that, to me, is presently Aaron Rodgers. Okay? Aaron Rodgers, no doubt, is a first ballot Hall of Famer, but in my opinion, he's a shitty teammate. And right now, an even shittier quarterback. So there were a lot of things going on with that New York Jets team. It may not necessarily be that way here. Now, again, I'm not defending the hire. I'm simply looking for the positives. And the positives are we don't have to be a top 10 defense next year to make the playoffs. I don't even think we have to be top 15. If we are top 18, we're good. Those are my
Matt team went with the Falcons being like the 25th best defensive team.
Correct.
So I mean, it's definitely possible, but like you said, it's being able to get the stops when you need the stops, and or we put some pressure on the doggone quarterback sometimes. Like we can't have another season where we got a player, our bunch of players who average 3 or 4 sacks for the whole season. Like that's just egregious at this point. It doesn't make any sense. So if we can at least change that to where the quarterback on the other team isn't sitting back making freshly squeezed orange juice, freshly made blueberry pancakes, hash browns, bacon, and eggs with pepper, and then throw the ball. We can't let that happen.
Don't forget my French toast.
And the French toast
with the sprinkled dust and everything on there.
Hey guys,
I know that. Whatever.
I just got to do a plug right quick, guys. You're watching this on For My ATL Sports 1 on YouTube. Please like, share, and subscribe. Again, you're watching this on the For My ATL Sports 1 on YouTube. Please like, share, and subscribe, and join us. We typically do content every day, and if you do that, we can introduce it into the algorithm and bring you more great content like this. Chris, go ahead. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
I mean, okay. Now we already know. First of all, just because things go for you wrong in one place doesn't mean that things can't get better for you. We know that.
That's true.
That's true. Now the Jets, so again, they were 20th ranked this year. They were 17th ranked last year. And I do believe if the offense that we have being in like a 17th, 20th range, that would do good for the Atlanta Falcons. My thing is, for me, you always got to prove it. You can say whatever you want on paper. You got to go out there and play the game. And right now we're in a dangerous situation, guys, because we're trying things, yes. But certain things, I feel like you're going to the familiarity thing because, again, 2015, when we did all this once before, new head coach, new coordinators, all that stuff like that, We went 8-8. Now, statistically, we were better this year as a team this year than that team was. And it almost makes me feel like we're trying to rekindle that 2016 magic. But in order to do that, we got to have similar guys or those same guys in the building to try to reenact that.
We're
But
gonna
that's a
bring back
dangerous
mechanism.
situation to be in. That's dangerous because we're in 2020. We're about to be in 2025. Things that worked in 2016 may not work in 2025. You may need to go a different direction, and you did. You had the opportunity. The ball was in your court, and you decided to try to go back to something that possibly may work. Now, the thing about it is, in this position is January 19th. If January 19th, 2026 come around and we're in the playoffs talking about possibly going to a Super Bowl or something like that, then okay, fine. But I still have to see it. And until I see it, I'm sorry. The move just doesn't move me. And I don't have a lot of confidence in the move. I'm gonna be optimistic just because I'm a Falcon fan, of course. But do I have any confidence in the move? Absolutely not.
I
And it's
don't.
just nothing. And it's nothing that words is going to be able to do to change my mind in that aspect.
I don't really think Atlanta really has the horses to do anything on defense right now, regardless of who's calling the plays. Though that's why I'm not so up or down on it because I'm like I need to see the players that you bring in and how you improve the defense because Jimmy Lake or Raheem, whoever was calling the plays or scheme it was. I mean, you're not going to scheme certain guys on our D line for 10 plus sacks. I mean, at certain points, you have to have guys that can win a one-on-one matchup on their own. Our best pass rusher is a linebacker. I mean, we can't have him pass rush every play unless we're going to designate him to that position. But then you take your linebacking core. So Judon he was supposed to be that double-digit sack guy we thought, but he wasn't that. AK at this point, I think he can flirt with 10 or 8 if we give him, the right positions. But I mean, I'm going off his track record. He seems to be a secondary pass rusher guy, like a 6 to 8 type of guy a year.
Well, JC, so Arnold had like 6.5 sacks this year, right?
Right.
My thing is 3 of his sacks this year got called back due to penalties.
Right.
So technically, Arnold was supposed to have 9.5 right now, close to 10.
He's our best pure pass rusher besides him and Caden. But I feel like if he's your best pass rusher, you're like, I just feel like if I'm watching the playoffs and I'm looking what these teams have, and then I'm comparing it to our roster. I'm
one, like you said,
they're athletic outside on the edge. They're stout in the middle. Our D line is just. I feel like I could push them around at this point. I mean,
it's frustrating. Again, I'm just gonna follow with JC. It's like they're trying so hard, and whoever the offensive lineman is, they can't get around them. They can't get through them. They're just getting stood up, and it's like this can't continue to happen like that. And just to follow up, because I'm gonna have to go in a little bit. We don't have any push, right? And then we can't tackle. That goes to the linebackers. And then our cornerbacks, other than AJ, we can't stay with nobody. So we got 3 levels, and we have 3 levels of players that we don't have as compared to all the other teams in the NFC that we got to go against. And that's kind of scary. And then we say, okay, well, we're going to bring Jeff in here, right? It's like, how are we going to fix these?
Don't forget about the safeties too. Just to add to your point. So 4 elements
is up in the air. I mean, we still got Richie Grant on the roster crying out. So, it's kind of it's worrisome. I hate that word, but it's worrisome, regards to where we should be, but where we are, and when are they actually going to fix these issues? Again, this offseason was supposed to do that. Of course, you had some injuries at the beginning of the season. Obviously, injuries always happen. But then you made a couple of moves to try to mitigate that. And again, Judon, it wasn't it. You got Caden Ellis, like JC just said, but it's like, well, maybe if we went back to the 4-3, does Judon all of a sudden become a better player because of just that? I mean, why did we go to the 3-4 in the first place? I don't know. But we were better last year in the 4-3. So why would we go to a 3-4? I don't know. I don't understand that, whatever concept. But I'm like, you got to play towards the people who are on your team. The whole point of having a coach is you're putting your players in the best position to succeed. Otherwise, what are we really doing? We're kind of fooling around at that point, right? So again, there's so much stuff left up to in the air still. Again, Kirk Cousins, we can't really have him as a backup. It just doesn't make sense to, yeah, he could be a good backup and everything, but the price tag is too much. We have needs that his money is stopping us from being able to do anything. Right? And that cap hit is going to hurt us too at the end when we do get rid of them or release them, trade them, if we can find a trade or whatever. But it's just the things that they've done that have helped that are going to hold us back again from being successful is just it's just a lot to take in right now. I know it's January, but shoot, it'll be the draft soon, right?
We're gonna be at the draft in a minute.
So it's like we were supposed to have a good 10-win season and win the division and at least probably win a playoff game, possibly, or at least be in the playoffs. To having an 8-9 season, this season of 2025, we need to go to the Super Bowl as far as I'm concerned. They're erasing the bad taste of the last decade as far as I'm concerned at this point. It's like we got to do something. It has to be more. We can't keep wasting talent because we've wasted Grady Jarrett. We're wasting London at this. We've wasted them. We're wasting these young guys who are really good, and they've proven that they're really good. Pitts is still here. I don't know why Pitts is still here at this point. Let that go. It was a mistake. Let it go at this point, right? So it's like, are they going to really do enough to win, or are they going to just do enough to placate enough people to say keep buying season tickets? We had a fan base that was hyped last year, right? Because of all the things we thought we were going to have. To have it like that against the Carolina Panthers, I'm not a season holder right now, but if I was, I wouldn't be this year. Especially after this. I wouldn't be able to make that investment for another season. I gotta wait a little bit. I can watch on TV in my living room. You know what I'm saying?
And I know some season ticket holders.
I have breaking
I know
news.
some season ticket. What you got? What you got breaking out? That they recanted the statement yesterday about Obert?
No, the Dodgers will sign Lamar Jackson to come and pitch for them. No, I'm kidding. The Dodgers have signed Tanner Scott. Jesus Christ, man. They've signed everybody. The Dodgers have signed Tanner Scott. Like the Dodgers right now are the Avengers or the Legion of Doom or the Justice League or whatever you call them. Like, Jesus, man, they signed everybody.
This is the worst Braves offseason of all time.
Terrible. Oh, my God. It's
I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say anymore.
Bro, we're not gonna we're trying to restart the taxes and we're not gonna start doing any moves until next year. We're gonna roll with what we got as far as the Atlanta Braves.
But dude,
we're gonna roll what we got. We're gonna start the tax over, and then next season we're gonna try to start making moves because we don't want to go into that luxury tax or that tax of $241 million. We want to cross that threshold.
Somebody said in the Dodgers, run it back because we're going to win again. How are you going to do that? We're going to sign everybody, right? Literally, they are are you kidding me?
It's like an Omega level event is happening right now. You know what I'm saying?
It's just so much going on with Atlanta or around Atlanta or involving Atlanta or, you know what I'm saying? It's just implications to Atlanta.
I'm tired of taking L's. Look, Alex Anthopoulos, I know we got this tax situation, but come on, give me something, Alex. Give me something, Alex. Jesus Christ, man. In all fairness, I think we were going to try and sign Hoffman, but he failed the physical, because we're cheap. Jesus. All right, guys. I just had to express that. I had to get it off my chest. We can get back to the Falcons. I believe. Wait, you got to.
Hey, we got some questions in the chat too, by the way.
No. I think Chris has to leave. So,
okay.
Chris, go ahead and tell these folks where they can find you. And again, thank you for joining us, sir. But tell these folks where they can find you.
Make sure you tell them what you about to start doing too, man.
Oh yeah, I almost kind of forgot that too. So you can watch Around the ATL on IMT and Worldwide Radio. That's my broadcast channel. You can follow me on Twitter, Intellect ATL. But after 6 years of Around the ATL, I have a local radio station in my city that has picked the show up. So
that's great. That is great. That's awesome.
Officially, our first show will air this coming Thursday at 7 o'clock on Sports Vision's 92.1 FM in Columbus, Georgia. So we will live stream the show. So if you want to watch as we record that particular show, again, IMTN Worldwide Radio on YouTube. We have 15 weeks, basically. So the goal is, if everything goes well, they will pick up the show and let us do our 2-hour show live in the studio. So
Let's get it.
been a lot of work, and I'm excited but apprehensive at the same time, because you always want to try to do perfect stuff, but to get them to convince themselves that it'll be a good thing to do was really refreshing, because like I said, I just used everything I've done up till now as evidence to say, hey, here's why we should get a shot, and they listen. So next Thursday, January 23rd, 7 o'clock, Sports Visions, 92.1 FM in Columbus, Georgia. And we're really excited about that, and just looking at the future now. So it's a big deal, obviously. So for sure.
Good deal. Well, thanks again for joining us, man. And hey, feel free to come back anytime. Thank you so much. And hey, go Falcons, go Hawks, go Braves. Enjoy your day, sir.
Appreciate y'all. JC, Chris, and T1. Thanks y'all for having me on.
Yes, sir, brother. Yeah, man, that was Chris Royster, Intellect ATL, man. Gotta always represent for our city, our state, our teams. So that's what we always like to do. But man, please continue the Falcon conversation, Mr. T. Will. I think I did see a question. I'm trying to see if I can get back to it. Okay, it said question for everyone: who is Washington's pass rusher?
Multiple. They come at you in waves.
Yeah, they do.
Allen's getting pressure. Armstrong's getting pressure. Frankie Louvu. I mean, they come at you.
Louvu was dominant last night.
That was an underrated trade. They're about signing Louvu from the Panthers.
Yeah, I forgot they got Payne on the line. Don't they still got
Jonathan Allen?
Yeah, they got multiple guys. Like, if you're not going to have that one guy like a Crosby or a Hendrickson, you have to get multiple guys. Atlanta doesn't even have one guy at all at this point.
Right.
So I think to what Chris was saying about Kirk being a backup, I feel like right now that's all just bargaining talk. Atlanta's trying to gain leverage and will put you on the bench. Kirk's agent is trying to get leverage by releasing that, they're going to have to cut him. I really feel like that's the only hurdle they're going to have to navigate this offseason. Like, this offseason should be easy, honestly, because I feel like Terry and Raheem should know you have to address this defense. It's literally staring you in the face because you've overloaded the offense so much to an extent that but, I mean, of course, you can stand some additions on offense, but it's nothing you're really dying for at this point, in my opinion. I think defense, you're looking like you have so many holes on that side. And then this is the first offseason in a couple years that you feel like you have your quarterback already in place from the previous season. So you don't have to deal with that problem this offseason. So it's literally just, address the defense. But like he said, you do have that expensive number 18 sitting on the bench right now. And you have to figure out what you want to do with him by March. Because if you eat that $10 million, at this point, the money's already gone. And that's how I'm looking at it. There's no really getting that money back. It's a couple financial things you can do to try to limit how much it affects you. But I wouldn't cut him, in my opinion. I would force him to, uplift that no trade clause, because if you can't let him have all the say so. We already gave you that fat contract that you didn't honor with your play style. So I would try to find a trade for him, especially now that we're limited for picks. I mean, I'm not ready to give up on, just throw Kyle out to the, Wolves. But honestly, we need picks. So if somebody come calling with like a fifth round pick, if we're not going to use them anyway, why not just,
Kind of got to make that move, bro.
Yeah, just because we're starving.
But the thing about it is a fourth or fifth rounder, you just know, JC, that you completely failed. That was a complete failure. That was a complete dunce move. That's how you look at it. because the type of player that Kyle is. And I still believe that with the quarterback that we have now, don't get me wrong, I'm more out on Kyle than I am in on Kyle. But I do have the thing that the saving grace could be Michael Penix. Because I still look at that Commanders game, and on fourth down, when you had to have it, he went to the Kyle Pitts, and Kyle Pitts delivered.
But
You know,
it's how I look at it. To your point, honestly, if I was Raheem or Terry, I'm just gonna go to Zach Robinson straight up, and I'm just gonna ask you, like, do you plan on using him? Because if not, we can trade him. I don't think it's fair to Kyle to get criticized, and he's not a part of the offense. Like, what is he supposed to do? He can't do anything with 2 targets a game unless he's gonna take one of those 80 yards. So I agree with you. I would love to see him with Penix. But like to your point though, sometimes you have to admit that you messed up.
You messed up.
Because if you keep holding on to him for the sake of saying, we don't want to look like we messed up, then that's when you get a draft pick, because you definitely can't let him walk for nothing next year. So
right.
I don't know. I would love to see him with Penix, because I think that Penix is a quarterback that can actually play to his strengths, which is down the field. But I don't know. I don't know if they have a plan on actually using him in this offense.
Yeah, I mean, and to your point, for the Los Angeles Rams, they had Tyler Higbee. Tyler Higbee is nothing compared to what Kyle Pitts is athletically, supposed to be generationally, all those efforts. The tight end, they used it, but he wasn't a focal point. And I said it earlier this season, this offensive scheme has never had a tight end with the capabilities that Kyle Pitts has. So to your point about using him within the offense, hey, you got a lot of different weapons. You got the running backs already. You have 2 wide receivers, and you have a Ray McLeod who came out of nowhere and gave you production in the slot area. You still have a special teamer in Kadero Hodge who can come in and give you production. So it's like, where does it leave for Kyle Pitts? Because I've already named at least like 5 or 6 guys already. And again, in that scheme in LA, the tight end wasn't a focal point of it. It just was like, okay, check down. Okay, when we gotta have it and everybody's covered, oh, they forgot about you. But Kyle Pitts is not that type of player. Kyle Pitts is a let's get him the ball type of a player. Not like a Tyler Higbee. It's just like, we'll give it to you whenever we can. And Charlie Warner was getting more production, I feel like, over, like, as far as volume goes. Like, I mean, of course, Kyle still got the yards, he got the production and stuff like that. But as far as volume targets, I feel like Charlie Warner would be getting more targets than Kyle Pitts.
Well, here's the thing, everyone. In order for you to get targets, you got to be where you need to be, right?
There you go.
Love the fact that I was open. But if you don't run the routes I need you to route, what is it? Here's the thing. In the NFL, on 70% of the throws, the quarterback isn't going to see where the receiver is, because if it's a timing route, I'm throwing it before you make your break. We have seen on numerous occasions with every quarterback we've had, Kyle is not where he's supposed to be, right? It's a hitch and it should have been a go. It's a hitch and it should have been a slant. I don't know if it's a breakdown in communication. I don't know what it is. But most quarterbacks, if I throw you the ball and I'm expecting you to be on a go and you run a hitch, and this happens 5 or 6 times, I'm going to stop looking for you. Okay? Right. So you might be open, because guess what? This time you ran the right route, but you will never be my first. You will never be my first option, because I can't trust you.
That's true.
And if I can't trust you, why would I look? Right?
And we know that he's not the best route runner too. We know that. And we know. And again, I don't feel like he always hits his routes with maximum effort all the time, just because he doesn't think he may get the ball. That's work ethic. That's not on anybody except for Kyle. And I've said that before, and I'll stand on that. If you're not running your routes just because the first 10 plays you didn't get anything, first 20 plays, 30 plays you didn't get anything, you have to keep running those routes. That's how you gain that trust, though, in my opinion. You got to. It sucks. I don't like that you have to do that. No, but I'm just saying the reality of it. If things aren't going your way, you got to be a part of the solution and not the problem.
Agreed. Here are my thoughts, right? So at the beginning of the season, Kirk and Kyle roomed together, right? And what did Kirk continue to say throughout camp? Well, I'm just trying to get him to run. I'm trying to get him to really run full speed. What he was saying was, I'm trying to get him to run routes. I'm trying to get him to finish, right? And the reason you pair Kyle with Kirk is because every other quarterback has not been able to get him there. You get what I'm saying? I'm not saying to not keep Kyle, because Kyle is a tremendous, tremendous talent. What I am saying is there's a lot Kyle needs to do, because this is a professional league. As a receiver, your first and only job is to be where you need to be at the time you should be there. If you can't do that, I got no use for you. Because again, it's not like we're in backyard football and I can sit down there and 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, throw it. Oh, okay. No, this isn't it. 9 times out of 10, I got a defender running down my throat. Okay. And I got to make a decision. And if Kyle isn't where I need him to be, I'm not going to look at him. So
yeah, the ball's gonna be going the other way.
Right. I'm not saying to trade Kyle. All right. I'm not saying that. You got him for another year. You're gonna pay him. You're probably not gonna be able to get back something worthy of the pick anyway. You may as well keep him. What I am saying is Kyle's gonna have to put his big boy pants on and learn the offense and run some routes.
I think it's also I kind of look at the human element of it as well. Like, I understand he's a professional, but at the same time, like you said, A1, if I'm out there just running and I know I'm not getting the ball, I mean, every athlete takes plays off. Like, I know it doesn't sound professional. It doesn't sound, they're professional. They take plays off. And I think with him being a young player, his morale, his attitude plays a lot into his game. Like, when he's out there involved, he's running those routes a little harder. He's trying to give an effort to block. We know it's not his strong suit, but he gives a little bit more effort. But at the same time, it's like, why put him out there to get 2 targets a game and I just trade him at that point? To me, like, if you're not going to use him, like, you're not, because you have to make an effort to get him involved in the offense. Because like you said, he's a tight end his skill set is not of a normal tight end skill set. So you have to find ways to get him the ball. And Zach Robinson's offense doesn't use tight ends is not really an excuse not to include Kyle Pitts, because, the Falcons put themselves in that position by drafting a tight end that high. So you put him out there and say, oh, we don't use tight ends in this offense. No, you drafted a tight end at 4. So implement him in your offense. It's really not that hard, because I guarantee if he goes to Cincinnati, if he goes to Kansas City, if he goes somewhere with a quarterback that know how to give him the ball, he's going to eat. I'm pretty much sure that he's getting 600 with Ritter, Heineke, and Kirk. I'm pretty sure he can get 8 to 1,000 with somebody who actually wants to get him the ball.
Can you imagine him with Josh Allen right now?
Oh yeah, he'll be eating. But like you said, he has to be a professional. He has to do the little things consistently before he can start getting the benefits of getting the ball. But I just feel like I don't know. I'm just tired of the whole dynamic around him. I don't feel like it's fair to him. It's not fair to the team. It's not fair to the fans. Like, it might be time to just get away from the whole situation. But
just turn the page, really.
Yeah, because I would like to see him be a focal point of the offense, or at least consistently targeted. I feel like as a tight end, he should be a volume guy. He should at least be getting. I mean, there's no way you can get Ray McCloud 686 yards. Then Kyle should be getting 8, in my opinion.
I'm talking about he's a 6'6", 245, 50-pound man that plays tight end. And quarterbacks, what's normally a quarterback's best friend?
Tight end.
Tight end. And it's just like, regardless, every quarterback that has played with Kyle Pitts, you have evidence before and even after, because I got to mention Mariota too, of them finding a connection with the tight end position. And it's just like for Kyle Pitts, all the quarterbacks not named Matt Ryan was able to find a connection. You even seen Kirk Cousins. One of his best qualities was being able to find that tight end, but he wasn't able to find the tight end here. So it goes back to like really all of our points that we've been making. Kyle is an unbelievable athlete, but Kyle takes too many plays off because he doesn't get the ball. He's not getting his way almost. I don't want to call him like a kid or anything,
Right.
but it's like almost like he doesn't get his way. So it's just like, all right, well, shoot, man, I ain't just to be out here just for my health, bro. Like, you know, like, and that's where like stuff like, and that's where sound clips like I just work here starts to get used against you.
I just work here, bruh. That was funny. But I got what he was saying. You know what I mean? Because in fairness to Kyle, I mean, what could he say, right? Okay, we're going from Kirk. You know what I mean? Well, you know, Kirk's my boy, but he's played terrible. So all he could say was, "Hey, man, I get it. I'm not gonna. I get it. He probably could have.
But you do know it. But you knew as soon as he said that was going to get used against that the spin on it was going to get spun the wrong way, and it has
100%. You know what I mean? Just because, and to me, that's not fair, right? Because just because I think what he was saying was, look, I don't make decisions. I don't make personnel decisions. So why are you asking me? And there's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is when people see you loafing, and he does loaf. I mean, you know, come on, man. That's
if he was out here.
That's like me. That's like me ripping on somebody's hair. Okay, that is like me ripping on some. I got no room, right? So what Kyle should have said is, "Hey, that decision wasn't mine. You know, I appreciate Kirk. You know, I appreciate the kid, but you know, hey, let's just try and go win." I understood what he said, but that is the worst thing you could say in that scenario. But yeah,
because of the season that he's having, you can't say that. If you were having a Brock Bowers type season, people would look away. You know, so they would find a different narrative to take. But you know what I'm saying, people take that statement and now try to put it to your play and try to say that this is the type of person that you just are.
And people
That's
are
what
mean,
you're starting
right?
to see out there.
Yeah, there's a saying, Chris, that says, "Who you are speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying."
Yeah,
and it's true, right? It is true. It's unfortunate, but it's true. But look it, hey, maybe we can get something out of Kyle. One thing I will say is that when you play with a quarterback that can get you the ball, you usually have more pep in your step. So maybe that works with us. Maybe the other thing that works with us is it's a contract year for Kyle next year. So maybe he goes all out. You know what I mean? Maybe he busts his rear and goes all out. And to JC's point, maybe he has an 80 or 90 receiver season. You know what I mean? Or 80 reception season. You guys know what I'm saying. For you know, I don't know. Let's call it 850, right? Because Drake's going to get you 1,000. Mooney was what, 12 yards away from 1,000?
Man, that man would only needed a first down, and that man would have been 1,000 yards.
He should have went out there with that one arm. We could have did a little
pushback. My thing is, we could have got you two check downs real quick for 5 yards, let you run right on out of bounds on both of them. But I mean, we just don't know the severity of the shoulder fall. We know the man probably could barely even lift his arm for all we know. We know
pretty good not to go get that 1,000.
That's what I said. I said for Mooney not to go out there and not be able to get one first down, that shoulder must have been pretty toe up.
It probably was. Because Mooney's a hard worker, man. Mooney is a hard worker.
And he played through injuries all this season, too. Like, he's had little nicks and necks and everything and still went out there and gave you 100%. He was hurt. He was hurt the game. He was hurt in the Saints game and still gave you dynamic plays. Caught one pass that Kurt, delivered to him over the shoulder, bringing his hands up at the last minute, so the defender can't, make a play on it. Like I'm just saying, like Darnell had a great season. I know coming into this season, I was one of the people that was questionable about Darnell because I was trying to figure out, was it the receiver? Was it the quarterback? Like, what was it? And he definitely came here and showed that it was just Justin Fields. It was definitely Justin Fields.
Ron April Thomas. April's Ron's wife, but this is probably Ron says, "Can we trade him for a Happy Meal ASAP?" That's Ron. I know that's Ron. That's something Ron would say.
It ain't nothing but Ron.
Yeah.
So, somebody
Ron always trying to trade somebody for some food.
Always
about Brock Bowers being all pro without a quarterback, so it's not Kyle's. They don't work in Kyle's favor. Well, Brock Bowers was 100. He was first in the league in tight end targets with 153. Kyle was 16th with 74 targets. So
that's a big difference, man.
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen the Raiders offense, he's literally the only person besides probably Myers to throw the ball to. And that's why we go back to that 1,000-yard season with Kyle, because he was almost
the only person to throw
it to. So now that we got, other people to throw the ball to, he's kind of sunken into a regular tight end, because at 16th in targets, you're like average, you're middle of the league. Can we get him possibly closer to top 10-ish, maybe? I mean, that would be like 86 targets around.
You know what also this sounds like, fellas? You know what also this sounds like? It sounds like when John Collins was with Atlanta before Trey Young got here. It sounds like how John Collins was the focal point of the Atlanta Hawks. Remember 20 and 10 JC? Remember, there was a point in time it really was a 20 and 10 JC for real in Atlanta. Then next thing you know, we got Trey. Okay, no problem. Then next thing you know, we got Dre, Cam, Kevin Herter, CC. And it got to the point to where he wasn't a focal point anymore. He became like the fourth or fifth best option, even if he's on the floor. So, like to JC's point, I mean, it is a lot of football. It's only one football to go around. We do have a lot of skill players. We do. And he hasn't been able to, injuries, yes, but he just hasn't been able to be anything like he's been in his rookie season. He was the focal point. And that also another reason why I said what happened with Julio, I don't know why you went and drafted a tight end. The problem was we needed a receiver. And yes, even though he is a unicornish type of receiver, it is what the label they were giving him as a unicorn. I still just see other wide receivers out there that you could have just went and just kind of just, nullify your problems that you're dealing with today. So.
I mean, if it came down to me, like I would just, if I had to, be on one side of the fence, I would just let them play that season out with Penix. I want to see those two together. But like I said, you have to make a concerted effort to actually want him to be a part of the offense, and Kyle Pitts has to do his part. Like you said, be a professional. Hey, you have a quarterback that can get you the ball now. So can we run those routes a little faster? Can we go all out a little bit more? Because honestly, Kyle isn't even playing. His snap counts were down because it was some games Charlie Warner was out snapping him as far as the count. So we're really not trying to have you block too much, kid. Only thing you're really doing is running around. So can you at least go all out on those routes? We're not asking you to block. You at least do that.
I'm just saying, bro. That's what I'm saying. The reason why Charlie was out there is because of that blocking. Just like you said, hey, it's points in time to where the offense is clicking with the running backs, and we need some blocking, and we need to, like help, with the blocking on the right side, on the left side, no matter what. You're not the guy that, so we can depend on for that. So there's no point of having you out there trying to make it seem like it's going to be a decoy, which is also working against the Falcons too, because like with Travis Kelce, Greg Kittle, guys like that, they can be on the field all the time because they can catch and block. So you don't even know what they're going to be used for. Right. The Falcons sending Kyle Pitts out there, they know the Falcons don't want him to block. So it's just like, all right, we know this should be pretty much a pass play or just something that's probably going to go away from Kyle at least.
Yeah. I think Zach Robinson's offense, they mainly use 11 personnel, which is 3
Mhm.
wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back. And if that tight end can't block, to your point, that limits what you're trying to do, right? So I agree with JC. I don't think that Pitts fits this scheme, but one thing I will say with JC is you probably could try and get Kyle more involved, especially on those down routes over the middle. Like, he does that well. When you're
You
in the
gotta get them more involved. I'm with both of y'all on that. I'm 1,000% 10 toes down on giving the picks, the Penix and picks connection a chance. Because I mean, you tried it with Kurt, it didn't work out. You did see a glimmer of hope, at least with with Michael Penix in the sample size. So try and see, man. Try and see. Because again, 4th overall pick, I feel like you gotta exhaust every opportunity. You got regardless of what happens with Kyle Pitts, you have to at the end of the day say we tried everything we could.
Yeah.
And I feel like Kyle being a force in this offense is the difference between the 10th best offense in the league and potentially the 7th or 8th best offense in this league, because he adds a whole nother element to this offense. You already have Drake, Darnell. If you can get Ray to, do what he did again with the 2 running backs, and then you have Kyle also being a factor. Oh, that's a whole different offense. And to your point, Zach might want to look at playing more 12 personnel, because, like somebody said, I think when you see Charlie out there, you pretty much know it's a run. When you see Kyle check in, you pretty much know it's a pass. So if you play more 12 personnel, have both of them out there, then maybe you can kind of throw off the element. But I feel like Kyle should at least be a factor in the red zone, if not anything.
Bro, I don't understand.
That pass that Penix threw to him in Washington, that should be bread and butter every week, because he's so
That
big.
was beautiful. Yeah,
that was beautiful.
That
he's
was
so big,
pass.
just box out if anything, and then once we learn how to high point, give him some high point passes where he can jump over people. I just feel like I'm not seeing why he's not doing the things. I can't wrap my mind around it. I probably will never wrap my mind around it until he's not in Atlanta anymore. Honestly,
I can agree with you in the red zone, because that is a weapon. And look at between he and Drake. I'm sorry. You should be able to get it to him. That throw in Washington was perfect, because to your point, JC, Kyle did box him out. Well, first off, Kyle's huge.
Yeah, man, it was perfect.
Too much, because most safeties are not 6'6", right? Or defensive backs or line, they're not 6'6". But the throw was low. Most guys didn't even see it, and it. One thing I will say about Kyle can catch. Kyle can catch high velocity passes. I will give him that. When he's where he needs to be, I've seen him make some great catches. So, if we can get the main thing is if we can get Kyle's buy-in, we can probably do a lot. But yeah, guys, let's shift gears a little bit. So, Jeff Ulbrich seems to run a 4-3, which would align with the most success that we had this year. Do you guys think that we will essentially pivot to a 4-3 and put that 3-4 notion to bed for once and all, or give me your thoughts on that?
I mean, well, you look at it, guys, real quick. The guys that we were interviewing was mostly 4-3 guys.
Right.
So that's why I feel like they want to go away from the 3-4, which honestly, you should have went to the 3-4. Damn it, I said it. You should have just stayed with the 4-3 anyway.
Right.
From the get-go, from the begin. But I understand that Ryan Nielsen moved on. You had to get another guy, so you got to go from what was out there and available at that particular time. And it still was a Brian Flores out there when you hired Jimmy Lake, but that's neither here or there anymore. We have Jeff Ulbrich now, and that's another 4-3 scheme. I know him and Robert Saleh. I know the Jets were 3-4 for quite some time, and then Robert Saleh came in and was like, all right, we're going to 4-3 this thing. And him and Jeff Ulbrich, so that's the scheme that they ran. So 4-3 most likely is where we're going to go back to. It will help guys like Grady Jarrett if you decide to keep him. I think it helps guys like Arnold Abracady because I know he definitely had a good year under the 4-3. But you just can't keep flip flopping. Like if we're gonna stay 4-3, we need to stay 4-3. And no matter what happens, JC, I was waiting to say this because I agree with you what you said earlier in this live about this right here, this deal right here. It's one of those things to where, okay, you got Ulbrich, you have Raheem, and you also have Terry. If this thing don't work out, I'm not saying it's going to be next year just because, I'm including Terry. So I'm not going to say next year. But if this thing don't work out, I can really see all three of these guys getting their walking papers right out the door.
Has Terry been re-signed yet?
No, Terry hasn't came out. Well, they haven't came out with anything about an extension for Terry yet. But the way that everything is setting up, you can kind of see the writing on the wall that Terry's going to get an extension of some sort. It's just how long will it be? Like, will it be 2 years? Will it be 3 years? And I think that right there will be speaking volumes too. Because, for example, if we get breaking news today, Terry Fontenot gets 1 year or 2 years. It's easy to comprehend to say, okay, so that means Raheem only has, it's like you can start kind of like thinking like, okay, so Raheem only has maybe like 2 seasons. So this whole thing with him and Ulbrich only has 2 seasons to try to make this work. And if it doesn't work, then all of y'all are gone. Don't necessarily know what's going to happen with Zach Robinson. Maybe him too. Who knows? Maybe they just do a complete blow up at that particular time. But these are just, some hypothetical conversations. Of course, we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but it's a possibility that these things can possibly happen. We could see either all 3 of these guys saying, hey, look, man, it wasn't easy, but we got here. We was able to make the moves to get us over the hump and get us in a better situation for the franchise, or it's going to be pink slips. That's kind of like, it really kind of ain't no in between anymore. I mean, am I this correct, guys? I mean, at this point, for everything that we've gone through as a fan base, there is no in between anymore. The in between is taken out. It's either sink or swim.
Yeah, no, especially after how you finished this previous season. Like, you don't get leeway going into next season, and then in the roster, I mean, like you said, you got the talent in place in certain positions. Like, even if you was to play this season out again, you're the reason why you're in a position you're in. It's not like it was because of lack of talent or, like the games we lost. I mean, we were in our own way, which is typically true of the Falcons. But like you said about the 4-3 and 3-4, I don't want to keep flip flopping either, because it's not good for certain players that you draft for certain fronts, and then you bring in somebody else and then they don't get playtime because the coordinator doesn't have use for them. But I'm more in favor of a 4-3, but at the same time, it is 2025 going into next season. We spend a lot of time in nickel anyway, which is almost like the new base defense. So I mean, I'm not too particular on it, but I feel like the signs of a good coach is, like, I think one of y'all said it previously. If you come in here and you see you don't really have the guys for a 3-4, why are you trying to play it just because that's your scheme?
That's a good. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. JC, stay there for a minute, because here's what I don't understand. For 4 games, right, you played a 4-3, and you got the most sacks. You got more sacks than any other team in that time frame. You led the league in sacks. And then on the last game, when you could potentially get into the playoffs or just have a winning season, you go back. I don't understand that.
It was like we had the club on fire. It's like we had the club on fire. We up there mixing good, and then like it was just like the owner came up there, tapped us on the shoulder, and said, "Hey, play that bend but don't break." And you was like, "You sure?" and then as soon as you played it, just cleared out the dance floor. Absolutely, just ruined the whole mood of the whole flow that you had going. Just absolutely just died after that.
It felt like somebody had Jimmy's kids and they were like, look, if you don't run this 4-3-4 defense, you'll never see him again. And he was like, look, Raheem, I got to do this, okay? You don't understand. I'm not like, that's the only thing that would make sense. You literally, Arnold Ebiketie, because somebody brought him up, had 5 sacks during that time frame.
Yeah.
In the span of 4 weeks.
Right. I did a whole video on Arnold just because of the, like, after the bye, how he just turned up most of the numbers that he had in freaking 10, 11 weeks. He had already met or exceeded in 3 or 4 games. Come on now. And again, some of his sacks got taken back. We already know in that Washington game, that sack that got taken back about the D'Angelo Malone thing penalty. That sack right there was going to give the Falcons the ball back. Just because the Commanders had got it to start the third quarter. That play right there was going to get the Falcons the ball back. We get that ball back, I'm telling you, I'm not putting it all on one play, but I'm saying we had the momentum already. We get the ball back right there and go score. I'm sorry. There's nothing that Washington was going to be able to do because we had the momentum and we had the flow. We already don't stop you on offense. Even if the rest of the game played out the way it did, if the Falcons went and scored a touchdown after that play and the D'Angelo Malone play doesn't happen, they go and win that game. I really believe so. I hate to break it down like the one play because there's other different things, the timeouts, you know what I'm saying? It's a few things, you know what I'm saying, we can say, but it just that whole momentum swing when the referees called that, and it was a tick for tack, honestly, play on D'Angelo because I really didn't see anything.
I didn't see anything. I mean,
but this to be called on.
He literally just touched him, but honestly, how significant that run was, the Falcons went to 31st from 32nd in the league in sacks. And that is a quantum leap in regards to where they were because the Falcons were at 10. They were at 10 sacks week 11.
I remember I was looking up just to make sure that we wasn't going to be anywhere close to the league minimum as far as like the least amount of sacks for the year, which we already had passed it, but thank God. But still, that's the kind of conversations we were starting to have. Like, are we going to have the least amount of sacks in history?
Yeah. And I'm sorry, JC, but
you good?
I didn't get that. Like, here, and this was kind of my frustration with Raheem. And look, I love Raheem. I think Raheem has the capacity to be a great leader. I think he has the capacity to be a great coach. He's got some things to work on. But what I did not understand is why would you wait until week 11? Why would you wait to make that change? Why not make that change week 7 or week 8 when it's evident that, okay, we're not getting to the quarterback? Why waste those resources and waste what you have? I don't get it, but you just struck a chord with me when you said that, JC. I don't think we ever should have run the 3-4, but 5-6 weeks, somebody should have said, this ain't it. You know what I mean?
All right.
Fellas, this ain't it.
I agree with what you said about Raheem. Definitely. I think like he definitely has the potential to lead a locker room, but he takes a little too long to make decisions when things are not working. Like you said, it shouldn't have took to week 11. And I think them winning kind of masked, like it kind of fooled them into thinking that they could prolong, like put it down later to the season. Because I guess they was like, in spite of it, the sacks will come, they'll, keep trusting in the system, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, like you said, we don't have the bodies for that type of defense.
No.
Anybody can see that.
No, we don't.
And then I didn't like Jimmy Lake when he said, when I think somebody asked him about would he change his scheme, and he just flat out said no. Like his scheme is just the best thing ever. I'm like, if something's not working, you have to, change it.
I'm like, boy, you don't see that this thing ain't working.
Well, and not only that, but it's not like you're Bill Belichick. Now, Bill Belichick could say that. Okay. Mike Tomlin could say that. Okay. The coach for the Ravens, what's his name? Harbaugh can say that because they've been in this league for 20 plus years and experienced some success. Right. Jimmy, you just got, who the hell are you? Who are you to say that, Jimmy? What? You coached Washington and whoever else, you just got here. Like, you got to have some brass ones to make that statement, man. Like, I just, sometimes you have to consider who you are.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it's me and Chris A1 and Smitty and Big Country, and they're all like, I do this and I get so many subscribers, they can say that, right? I'm new to the game, right? I can't make certain statements because what the hell do you know, T. Will? You just got here. Shut your ass up and go sit in the back, boy, and learn something.
Oh, Lord.
Like that's what my coaches would. How long you been here? What? Shut up. That's when I hear a statement like that, because what that says is you got it together, brother. You just walking in the door. You don't know what you don't know. And that system may have worked where you were, but this is the NFL, and you can't. There's nothing wrong with believing in yourself, but I don't know that I would have made the statement, even if I felt that way. You guys get what I'm saying? There's certain things you just can't say. It's like the whole "I just work here" thing. If Drake would have said that, wouldn't have been an issue because Drake got 100 catches this year, right? But Kyle, I run routes when I feel like it. Nah, bro, you can't do that. Same thing with Jimmy. Jimmy, you just got here. You've been here as quick as a cup of coffee. You can't make certain declarative statements like that. And I think it's part of the reason, to your point, JC, that he got promoted to customer. And look, I'm not happy that Jimmy got fired. I'm not saying that. I'm not gonna kick a man when he's down. But you can't be arrogant like that, right? No. Even with Coach Raheem, I love Ra. I love Coach Raheem. I really do. But sometimes I feel like Coach Raheem tries to imitate Mike Tomlin, and you can't be Mike. You got to be Raheem. Mike has won a Super Bowl, right? Mike has never had a losing season. Never. Okay? So Mike can be flippant with reporters when they ask stupid questions because he's Mike Tomlin. I love you, Raheem. I do, but you're not Mike. And you got to find your own way in this league, and you got to experience some success before you can put it out there like that.
If he wanted to be like Mike Tomlin, he could have took advice from him this season once he made that quarterback change that was kind of bold at the time when they went from Fields to Russ, even though they were 4-2. Tomlin stuck by that decision to put Russ in there. A lot of people kind of gave him a little pushback.
Yeah.
Pope gave him a lot of pushback.
You stick with Kirk for a week or 2 or 3 too late, trying to get him to get out that stink he was in. When you got Penix on the bench, I'm not saying there would have been a difference in win-loss results, but I mean, at least he got 4 or 5 games of exposure at that point.
Right.
He would have looked sometimes better later, than what we actually saw. But I think even if, Raheem coming in should have saw that the defense, because they really didn't add too many new bodies to the defense, he should have saw last year that they played better in the 4-3. So I would have just left it the same, if anything, instead of trying to change it to what I want to run. But, now they got Ulbrich in the 4-3. And like somebody said in here, I think most of the guys they were interviewing were 4-3 guys. So I guess they kind of see that's the route to go.
Yeah,
man. You should have never went away from it. I know guys leave. You have to make decisions and everything. So, you tried something. You tried a few things, and you've seen that a few things don't work. So now you got to go back to the drawing board and try to get better. I just hope that Jeff Ulbrich is going to be a better situation for us, because I said it a couple of shows. I'm going to say it again. These guys don't have room for error. Talking about the powers that be, the front office, the coaching staff, they don't have a lot of wiggle room to make more mistakes that cost you seasons. We don't have that. The standard is the standard.
The standard is the standard.
These catchphrases, man. A lot of this stuff, bro, it just be a lot, bro.
Bro, I love Coach Tomlin. I love Coach. I rock with Coach Tomlin because that's where that comes from. That comes from Coach Tomlin. Yeah, I just think he's a phenomenal leader. But look, when you lead, you have to be authentically you. You can't. I can't be A1. I can't be BJC. I got to be T. Will. You know what I mean? So A1 may use certain platitudes. I got to do it my way, because if I come out there sounding like you, to a certain, folks aren't going to respect that. And I'm not saying that's the case. I'm not saying that's the case with Raheem, because Raheem is definitely individual. I just think in certain interviews that brash cockiness comes out, and you can't do that when you essentially haven't had the results that you wanted. You get what I'm saying? But anyway, guys, we got to roll. We're going to wrap it up. JC, tell these folks in the chat where they can find you.
Yep. YouTube at 4 Quarter Sportscast. Instagram at 4 Quarter Sportscast. I guess there's no more TikTok anymore, so I won't plug that. Twitter is at 4Q Sportscast. Yeah, we're going to try to get some drafts, some free agency videos out on Atlanta. We do all type of content though, so we'll have anything sports related out there. So
good deal.
Oh yeah,
good deal. Well, hey, thanks for joining us, man, and hey, feel free to come back.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
A1, tell these folks where they can find you, man.
Hey, man, A1 Forever Sports, that is the platform on YouTube. Please always come over and like, comment, and subscribe. Help A1 Forever Sports stay in the algorithm, continue to grow out there in the algorithm. Also, Twitter and Instagram, A1 Forever. Again, like JC said, there is no TikTok right now, so I can't tell you guys to go follow me on TikTok right now. And it's crazy real quick because, what I didn't realize was TikTok and platform, editing software called CapCut was connected to one another, because not only can you not get on TikTok, you cannot use CapCut. And for some people that I've already, received text messages from, they're like, what in the world? Because, there was that was like kind of like the closest thing that you could do to like Adobe. And for people who don't know, Adobe costs a lot of money. It's the best, but it costs a lot of money.
So now they're
trying to get everything.
They're putting content creators out of business. Come on, TikTok.
Yeah, I know, right? Some people going through it right now, to be honest with you.
Get it together, TikTok.
But I want to thank you guys, for having this Atlanta Hawks, Atlanta Falcons conversation. A lot is going on, having to dealing with Atlanta, revolving around Atlanta. So thank you guys for coming on, JC. I figured, you want to come in and have this conversation. It's been a minute since we did a show anyway, so glad you was able to make it. T. Will, you already know we do stuff all the time, so it is what it is on that front.
Yes, we do.
And again, man, just going to keep bringing you quality content. You guys, so make sure you come follow your boy A1 Forever over there at Hawks Digest, as well as I'm covering Hawks on my own channel, and I'm now covering Hawks for Hawks Digest as well. Actually, I put out my first video yesterday for them, and I put out a second.
Can you drop the link in the chat?
Oh shoot, I do not have it, but I mean, you just type in Hawks Digest on YouTube, the page will pop right up. You know what I'm saying? Like I've already done it myself a couple of times, just to make sure. But yeah, all you gotta do is type in Hawks Digest. The page pops up. I have 2 videos up on the page now. So trying to hope that those keep on running those up. Keep on running the subs up, and make sure you tell Hawks Digest that Chris Tipmore, A1 Forever sent them, so they know exactly, so where they're starting to get some subs from and all this stuff like that too. So it definitely will help me out in the long run as well. So, that's just another thing I'm doing. And of course, draft profiles and everything is going to be coming out for certain players on A1 Forever, and mostly it's going to be kind of like diving into, for me, going to be diving into more of the NBA world, because, football for us is kind of over. So definitely going to be paying these Atlanta Hawks way more attention. They're 22-19, better positioning than they were last year, and still have the ability to get better. We have the New York Knicks coming up as well for again in New York on MLK Day, which is trash in my opinion, because Atlanta should be playing in Atlanta on MLK Day, and it should always be like that. But that's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I know there's an MLK, there's an MLK everywhere, but MLK originally started here, you know. So the Atlanta Hawks should never be the road team on MLK Day. But that's just my opinion. But again, thank you again, T Will, for always rocking with me. Thank you again, JC. Shout out to Chris Royster earlier for popping up. You know, so everybody giving their knowledge and their opinions, man. And shout out most importantly to the chat, you know what I'm saying? Because without you guys, we are not able to do this stuff, you know what I'm saying? And we don't have, you know, purpose if you guys don't keep showing up. So thank you guys, each and every one of you guys in the chat.
Yes, and thank you, Chris A1. And you know I rock with you, man. We do shows all the time, so it is what it is. Like you say, JC, really appreciate it. To those in the chat who joined us, you could have been anywhere in the world. You chose to be with us. Thank you. We appreciate that. That is not lost on us. Look it, we do it. We do this because we love it, but we couldn't do it without you. So again, a hearty, heartfelt thank you to everyone in the chat. Please also like, share, and subscribe to my channel, so that I can continue to bring you great content, typically on here on a daily basis. Again, the number 4, my ATL Sports, the number 1. If you look at the banner, it's right there. So please like, share, and subscribe. Got to give a few thanks out. Number 1, thank God for waking me up this morning, and just thank God for being God. I appreciate it, and we'll continue to do that. And last but not least, I got to thank Mr. Jack Spade and Mr. Eric Parker for giving me my chance in this business. And with that being said, guys, you have a great day.
Yes,
Rise
sir.
up, go Hawks. And Alex, spend some money, please. We're sick of seeing the Dodgers sign the world. Come on, Alex. Spend some money. All right? Raise me to sign somebody. All right, guys. Have a great day. Thanks, everybody.
Peace.